What pushes people to do things? I look on TV and I see people do all sorts of weird things. I see like boxers or UFC guys, like they push themselves to become like a human punching bag basically, because they want to be the best like fighter in the world. But in order to do that, you've got to go through all this craziness. And I sometimes wonder what pushes people to do things, or like firefighters. What pushes a man to go into a burning building? Some of you might relate better to businessmen. What pushes businessmen to neglect their family, work 80 hours a week and sacrifice everything? Or what pushes students, people that are in high school, and maybe you knew some nerds that would study for 18 hours a day? What they all have in common is they're pushing themselves for a reason, and they're all pushing towards some goal. You see, people are goal-oriented, and we shape our lives around our goals. So for example, a firefighter, why does he run into a burning building? Because he has a goal of saving lives. Why does a boxer or a UFC guy train so much? Why does he not eat certain things and eat certain things and roid up or whatever he does? Why does he do all those things? Because he has a goal in mind. He wants to be like the best fighter, the best whatever he wants to be. Why does a businessman sacrifice his family and his soul to get ahead? Well, because he wants money. And he wants to maybe be powerful also. Or a student, why do they sacrifice all that time? Because they have a goal of going to college in mind. See, goals shape who we are. I've been preaching for 15 years. I've been preaching almost every week at this church for the last 11 years. This week I preached 8 times. This week I've given 8 different messages. Why? For money? No, guys don't give enough in the box to get any money. Don't even donate for your hat. For fame? Not so famous, right? Power? Not that powerful. Because I too have a goal in mind. Our church has a goal in mind. And that goal matches the Apostle Paul's. Look what he says in Colossians chapter 1, verse 28. He says, we proclaim him, he's talking about Jesus. And we admonish and we teach everyone with all wisdom, so that we may present everyone perfect in Christ. To this end, the goal I have in mind, I labor, struggling with all God's energy, which so powerfully works in me. So he says, I have a goal in mind. So that's the second part, he's talking about his goal. He says, I have a goal in mind. I labor for something. And what is it that he labors for? What is it that is his goal? His goal starts out in the 28. He says, we proclaim him, admonishing and teaching, so that we may present people perfect in Christ. You see, his goal is to proclaim Christ. Paul has done all sorts of crazy stuff in his life. He has a list somewhere where he lists about how many times he got beat up, he got hit with golf clubs, he got shipwrecked, he got stoned almost to death, he got all sorts of things. And he was willing to endure these because he had a goal in mind. And that goal was to proclaim Christ to the people that he met. Not only proclaim them, but he wanted to build them up and make them perfect in Christ. By admonishing. Admonishing is a big word that means to forcefully remind someone that they're out of line. So Paul says, I will be willing to, those that follow Christ, forcefully remind my friends when they're out of line. And to teach means to bring information about the truth of God. He says, I want to proclaim Christ, and by that I want to tell people when they're wrong, and I want to show them the right path, so that ultimately they can become better and better and find themselves perfect in Christ. He says, that's my goal. That's why I do everything that I do. And with that goal in mind, his life is shaped. He walks around, he's willing to get beat up, he's willing to go different places, he's willing to talk to different people. And that goal shapes who he is and how he is. Just as much as if you wanted to be Olympian, if you were a girl and you want to be Olympic gymnastic, when you're 4 years old, you had to stop eating, and start eating just rice, like those treats or those rice cakes or whatever. And that's all you can have. And you can't grow past 4'4", and you can't be over 48 pounds, and you can never see your family. They put you in those like clinics, and all this craziness. But for a goal, it shapes all of the things that are around you. And I'm telling you, only one thing matters in life. We've set a lot of goals in this church, but only one really matters. I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, the Bible has to say that the goal that we need to put in front of us is to proclaim Christ. But I'm afraid some of us have put other goals ahead of God. For you, maybe you have a goal of being the richest drug dealer around. And so that shapes who you are and what you do, and it'll shape what you do tomorrow. And it will shape how you act and how you talk and those kind of things. Some of you may want to be the baddest dude in the streets or whatever. That goal will also shape who you are. And some of us are at school or at business, or we have all sorts of goals. And I want to tell you that the goals are going to shape who you are. And I want you to think very clearly and closely about your life and to see whether you have chosen the right goals, because not all goals are created equal. I think that when we look at different goals, you say, oh, that one's worse or that one's better. And I hope that you can look with me and say that making Christ your goal is better than making something from this earth your goal, because it will last for eternity. The things on earth will last for just a moment. You see, what happens when you attain the greatest drug dealer in the world status? What happens is the CIA kills you. You don't get away. But even if you got it, okay, you're it. You're the best drug dealer ever.